Um, and it's definitely an issue with the app, the Streamlabs app. If I were to just stream playing a game from my PlayStation, I'm pretty sure that would be fine. But yeah, streaming on OBS Streamlabs, is that what it's called? It's been a bit of a headache. Very annoying, and it's actually saying unstable right now, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll try and check on the chat a bit more frequently just to see and make sure what's happening. So I've kind of flooded this area with a bit too much of this wash. So I'm just kind of going back and trying to clean it up. Okay, well, that's good enough, I think. Let's clean this brush. And 1 second while I do something. Whoops. It's really weird because it's been working pretty okay. And it kind of shit the bed like yesterday. It seems stable now. That's good. It's for some reason the indicator here says it's unstable, but I don't know. Just we'll just work with it for as long as it works, I guess. Could be a short stream today if I get another mishap. If I get too much annoying hassles, then yeah, we'll just pause the stream for the day. We'll just have a short one, but we'll see how it goes. Very annoying. But yeah, you know, I still feel like it's kind of early days for me in terms of getting used to how to stream, and especially streaming painting and stuff. I feel like I'm pretty much a noob at it, so I'm still kind of learning. There we go. Let's continue. Let's continue. And eventually, I'd like to start painting. Doing drawing and painting and stuff. But I feel like I need to get more comfortable with how to stream and my proper kind of streaming setup. Get it to a point where I can have it be consistently functional. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, you're always going to be dealing with some issue, some kind of issue. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but it looks a lot better now. Like when I apply the wash, make these guys look a little dingier. And rather than kind of slop it all over the place, I'm trying to be a bit selective of where it goes. But at the same time, if you're kind of like splashing it around, that's not entirely a bad thing, because these are goblins after all. They're going to be dirty, they're going to be messy, and it'll actually help. There we go. So when I'm finished with all of these goblins, I'm thinking of taking them to the next level in terms of making them like a functional, viable army to play with. So I actually have been asking some people on my Instagram, and I'll probably just do a quick little shill of my Instagram. That's at Rayo Hobby. So that's REYOHOBBY. And that's basically where I put all my nerdy hobby stuff. Whether it's painting miniatures, primarily painting miniatures, but comics and food and whatever weird things I find. That's the go-to place for that. And yeah, I had asked someone on my Instagram, what would I need to make this army like better than just a bunch of random goblins? And yeah, they were saying there's a couple things you can do. You can actually get the Balrog, the big fiery demon. That's something that they can take, which is pretty cool. And then there's things like a command, like a shaman or a general, things like that. I just kind of want. I don't even know if and when I'll ever play the game, but I like the idea of having something ready to go. Okay. Guess that's just a weird issue with Streamlabs OBS. Like, I have heard from other people that it's pretty shaky, it's pretty iffy, not 100% reliable, and I'm kind of seeing why. So here's an example. I feel like I've kind of overdid it with the wash, especially on this red here. It's just far too dark now. But you know what? Whatever. We must move on. We must carry on. Time waits for no man. Now I have to make the other one kind of... Okay, there we go. And I think this wash is actually a little stronger than it should be, so let's kind of water it down a bit more. There we go. Okay. Next customer. So the plan is to do these guys, do them all, and really just finish these guys up today. And then we will move on to something else. I'm not actually 100% sure. Either Lilith Hersperax or my Eldar. Not 100% sure. Maybe Lilith Hersperax. I also want to finish her, get her mostly done today or within the next few days. My plan was actually to finish all the current models that I'm working on in the month of January, and I think that's very doable. These goblins aren't too much of a hassle, and they're almost done. The Eldar probably is going to be the biggest challenge, but we'll see. So when I'm doing this, I'm actually leaving the face mostly pristine. I'm not like going in with the wash on the face, just because it's kind of like a focal point, and I don't want to muddy that up too much. I also did a decent amount of shading on the faces already. Bacon, I'm guessing Streamlabs is still better than what you were using before. Yeah, so what I was using previously, I could actually give it a shot again. What I was using previously was the app, was the Twitch app for mobile. It's the very same app that you used for watching Twitch on your phone. It has a streaming function too, but I've used it a couple times and it's not too great. It's there's a lot of artifacting, I've noticed, and that's no good. It's also very limited in terms of like what you can do with it, like customizing and settings and options. It's very limited. I feel like Twitch is probably working on making it a more robust option, but at the moment, because they'd rather you use like their own products rather than an outside third-party product, right? But yeah, I haven't really heard of much progress in improving the Twitch app for the purposes of streaming. I haven't heard much about that. So yeah, let's be a bit more selective about shading this. I could try it again though, just to see what it's like. It's like the video quality that you're seeing now, it probably wouldn't be even at that level. Not saying that this is like amazing right now, but it's considerably worse, I find. Okay. I guess the thing about streaming with this OBS Streamlabs thing is like, it's almost like if it's not working the first time, you kind of have to like just keep trying, and it's like luck, roll of the dice. I was actually in the middle of making some customized icons and stuff for my stream. When I'm streaming painting, I can do that. But I took them all off because I was thinking, oh, is that what's causing the problem? Because maybe I didn't save them as the right file type, or maybe they were like too big, or the wrong resolution or something. So yeah, so I just took them all down because I was trying to troubleshoot what the issue was, and between me and Night Trap, we kind of just settled on the Streamlabs app isn't great. We kind of just settled on that. It's not great. Okay. So yeah, I think that it looks a lot better. These minis look a lot better with that wash. Bringing it down a bit. I try and leave the highest points of the armor the same metal color, like the raw metal color, just because that's kind of how it would look in real life, I guess. You know, the highest points of of metallic surfaces would be sort of glinting in the light. But yeah, in the case of the Lilith Hersperax model and some other models that I've been trying to practice non-metallic metal with, I've been trying to get better at painting reflective surfaces rather than using a metallic colored paint. Very different kind of thought process, I guess. But that's something I'm kind of reserving for character models and important figures rather than the common riff-raff. Bacon, Streamlabs tends to act funny when I try to switch between console and PC. I see. And you're using like straight up Streamlabs. Or wait, no, there's Streamlabs and then there's OBS. I think Night Trap is just using OBS, like the OG, right? And I remember looking into that, and we were talking about that, the difference between Streamlabs and OBS, blah blah blah. I mean, ideally, I'd like to use straight up OBS, but there isn't an option for that on mobile, it seems. And you know, eventually in the long run, maybe I can kind of like get a better setup and get some do things with better resources, I guess, better stuff, better equipment rather than just using my phone. It's kind of like a long run kind of thing in the long run. there's a lot that I'd like to do. But you know, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about a while back, was this idea of wanting to stream, wanting to do whatever, right? But you're always I'm always kind of waiting, or I've spoken with people that want to just wait for the right time. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to stream, for example, but I want to wait till I get the right stuff. I want to do this and that. And I'm kind of like of the mindset where you're kind of just better off doing it with whatever resources you have available to you. Just do it. And then getting better equipment can come over time. And actually, I've been slowly improving my stream, even in little ways and big ways already, right? The lighting now is a whole lot better than when I started off. And the camera angle that I've got here, when I originally started off streaming painting miniatures, I was just using an easel to get my mobile device, my iPad, in a position where I could look overhead and see the models that I'm painting, right? And around Christmas time or after Christmas time, Night Trap tipped me off to a sale going on at Canada Computers, where I could get like a fully articulated arm, I guess. Is that what it's called? To get all the angles and stuff. Get better angles and take up a whole lot less space than a gigantic annoying easel. So yeah, that's what my iPad is currently using right now, or is mounted on, is an arm. And that's really sweet, in my opinion. Let's just move these guys a little bit. There we go. It's like that. Wait, did I do this guy? I think I did. Bacon, I heard Streamlabs is more beginner-friendly than OBS, and OBS is more flexible and takes up less resources. Oh, yeah, that would be good. Taking up less resources. And what's the thing that's paid? What's the service that's paid? And I think like Eris uses it, and other people. It's like a monthly subscription. What's that one? I'm assuming that's quite good too, if you have to pay for it, that is. Ooh, I'm noticing that this wash that I have is really strong. It's completely making brown everything. It's like this guy pooped his pants. Let me, so if you want to knock it back, just take another brush and push it around. A brush without any paint on it, and you can kind of just push it around. XSplit, okay, so XSplit. That might be something to consider, like if and when you become a more, established streamer. But for the time being, like, I'm not spending money on that. And plus, I wouldn't be able to use it anyways, given my current setup. And actually, there's something that to note with this while I'm painting. It does look dark, but it'll kind of dry, actually. It'll kind of dry because it's so watery. It'll dry up, and it won't be as dark looking as it currently seems. That's something to keep in mind, too. Okay. If the red is looking a little too strong, or not strong, if it looks a little too dingy, I can always go back and fix that up. Beacon, I wonder what XSplit offers that makes it better and different from OBS. Uh, maybe it's just ease of use. That could be a thing. Like that would be worth it for a lot of people too if it's just a whole lot easier to use. But I have no idea. Twitch themselves offer a like a what's it called, like a streaming software that's browser based, I guess, but it's still in beta, I think. I don't know how many people use it. Oh my gosh, yesterday that was so funny though, Bacon, watching you play that that Sonic the Fighters game. That was so funny. Would you say it's an actually good fighting game though? Like I can't really tell from just watching. It seemed actually kind of okay, but I don't know if it's like if it actually feels good to play. It seemed decent though. Maybe the throws are a little broken, a little OP. Some moves are kind of cheap, but like it didn't seem entirely awful. That's a game that I don't really know much about because, yeah, you never had it, right? And when it came to playing Sega games, yeah, you were the guy. If you didn't have it, then most likely I would never have even played it, right? Because you had a Saturn and a Dreamcast. Okay. Slapping some paint, slapping some paint. This is the kind of work that I don't mind doing on stream, and I can actually check the chat more often as I'm doing this because it's very easy to do. But in my previous stream, I was working on my LDAR and doing edge highlighting. That was kind of difficult to do while streaming with the amount of focus that's required. Ba-ba-ba. Bacon, I still find it funny how Eris uses XSplit even though his stream is bare bones. That's true. And about Sonic the Fighters, it's decent. Feels better than I expected, says Bacon. That's cool. Yeah, so presumably you could do a whole lot more with XSplit, but Eris keeps it very, very basic, very bare bones. I know when Imagine Obama is streaming like IRL stuff, biking around town or the city, fishing, taking the train, stuff like that. He's using the app that I'm using, Streamlabs OBS. And even then, like I do notice that there's hiccups, there's problems and issues, and yeah, there's people in the chat that are often like, yeah, just you got to restart it, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's something I just have to keep in mind when I'm using this frickin' thing. Is it's just a common issue, I suppose. I have to say I was a little annoyed yesterday because I was ready to stream, right? I was ready to go. And I kind of got like a new lighting setup. I was like, okay, cool, let's try this out. And then, blah. Just wasn't working out. I was like, what the hell is going on? So after a couple of tries, I just threw my hands up in the air and was like, all right, I'm watching TV. Okay. Okay. See, this is an example where I feel like I may have slapped it on too much in the like the chest and stomach area, like right there, but who cares? We'll just leave it as is. Who's unpainted? These guys? Okay, got 2 more, and then I have a couple more, so we'll do that. So, last week, there was this interview with Ben Affleck, and the big piece of news there was that he's effectively done with the DC cinematic universe. He's retiring from the role as Batman. I guess the writing was on the wall. We kind of already knew, and there was this outpouring of like, condolences, or is that the right word? Like this, like, of heartfelt condolences and eulogizing Ben Affleck as if he died. Like, oh, you were so good. There's all these people on the internet, on Twitter. You're so good. You are my Batman. Blah, 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 right? You'll always be Batman to me. Round of applause for Ben Affleck. Did such a good job. And I get it. There's people that connected with him. It's, to me, he wasn't my Batman, right? Like, far from it. But I don't think that was entirely his fault. I think he's a half decent actor. And in this interview, he actually was saying that filming Justice League was the worst experience of his professional career. Wow. And he attributes it to multiple factors. It's not just Joss Whedon or anything like that. It was like Oroku. What age do you think Batfleck fans are? Okay. That's very interesting. Mentally, I feel like their age is they're 7 years old. But in terms of biologically, they're probably 42, mid to late 40s. That's just a weird assumption of mine. I have no data on that. Because the only reason I think that is, if you're a teenager, right, and you're watching these Justice League movies, or even younger than that, I don't think Ben Affleck is going to resonate with you. The whole idea of getting this older guy to play Batman, right? That's not a bad idea in and of itself. However, I do think it's a bad idea if the intent was to create a gigantic blockbuster franchise that was going to spawn multiple movies and win the hearts and minds of children, young and old. You know what I'm saying? Like this is supposed to be a gigantic blockbuster franchise that is going to sell merch. It's going to be the thing that little Timmy wants on his lunchbox. He's going to want the t-shirts, blah, blah, blah. That was not the Justice League, right? And you could argue that wasn't even Batman Begins. And yet, Batman Begins still did a better job of navigating that issue, if you even want to call it an issue. Navigating this problem of creating a commercial product that's supposed to be a gigantic hit, but also be this thing that's trying to have its own kind of feeling and vibe, which runs at odds with exactly that, being a gigantic commercial product. And so in that Ben Affleck interview, he was saying how it was the worst thing that he ever worked on in his professional career, something to that effect, right? And he says that it was because of the studio input, and we can all kind of come to our own assumptions as to what that means. Zack Snyder's own issues. Obviously, he was going through a lot of stuff in his own personal life, and that kind of made it hard to work with, and his own personal issues. So it was kind of like this gigantic mix of different things that made it so that working on Justice League was not the best experience. And yeah, he's done with Batman and probably making big commercial movies like that. I feel like he's probably going to go back to things like Argo and stuff, right? Try and chase more Oscars that way, I guess. Oroku mentally, yeah. R.I.P. Ben Affleck, Batman, brutal. Yeah, he was, and yeah, he's had a rough life. Uh, Ben Affleck, he's had a lot of personal issues, so yeah, it's a shame, and I kind of wish that we got his own independent Batman movie, at least solo Batman movie. I kind of wish that we at least got that, so that he could have like his own stamp on the character. He can what's the word I'm looking for? He can just create like his own impression of Batman, because we haven't really. You just get these little snippets of Batman from these movies, but yeah, never like the full picture, I guess, is what I want to say. So these are the last goblins that I need to do the wash for, and once that's done, all of the goblins will be done. Night Trap, a signature movie, yeah, like a signature Batman movie. I mean, Val Kilmer even got his chance to put his stamp on the character. Okay. But something tells me Ben Affleck is going to get tempted. He's going to get tempted to come back to something, to superheroes in some way, shape, or form. I'm telling you, and I have like a 90% certainty that this is going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be DC. I don't know if they're going to say, hey, Flashpoint, you made a big impression in Flashpoint, and obviously certain other things are going down in other universes. So, one more time, what do you think? What do you think? What do you say, Ben? And yeah, he might just fall for it one more time. And if not that, I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel come calling and say, hey, do you want to be Hyperion? No, not Hyperion. What's like the Batman equivalent in Squadron Supreme? So what I'm doing right now is I'm just dusting off these guys because you know, they've been kind of standing around for a while. Inevitably, some dust gets on these guys. So I'm using my Hake brush. This is a watercolor brush, by the way, called a Hake. My trusty Hake brush. It's very soft. I've had it for many years. Very good brush. I enjoy the Hake brush, but I use it a lot these days to dust my figures. Let's dust these guys off, and I'm going to take a quick little break just to grab some water. And what I'll do also is I'll blow these guys. That sounds weird, but I'm gonna just kind of go, you know what I'm saying? I'll blow these goblins. Say what? Okay. So yeah, gonna mute the mic for a second so you don't have to hear me going whooshing. And I'm gonna get some water, so BRB. All right, let's get back into this. Finishing up these goblins. They'll be pretty much done after today. It, just like any kind of thing, creative effort, I always find that I say like, they're not quite done. There's more I could do. There's more I could do. I could do this. I could do that. Just this thing more, just that. But at a certain point, it's kind of better to just shelve it, say job's a good, and move on. Move on to something else. And there's always the option to come back to a model later and do whatever it is that I was thinking about doing. But yeah, sometimes it's better to just move on. Do something else. And a big reason that I wanted to do these models was just the fact that I had them sitting around for so long unpainted, right? And in that sense, just the fact that they're done and that I have paint on them now is enough. Like that's enough of a win. That's like a big W in the win column for me at least. Just getting these guys done. So for the rest of the week, my plan for streaming is to finish up the first island of Dragon Quest Builders. I'm just about done the first island, and so I've been reserving making making story progress for when I stream. Making any big progress in the story, I want to do that online. But I have been playing that game quite often offline. And what I've been doing is just trying to make my first village look really good. So yeah, I've been making houses, making fortifications. It's just fun to build stuff in that game. And it's a whole lot better than it was in the first game. The first game, it's similar, like the way you go about building stuff, but just the fact that you can go into first person makes a very big difference. Makes a big difference in terms of how precise you can get with your building. It's really good. I'm assuming that it's very close to Minecraft. I haven't played Minecraft, but yeah, in Minecraft it's a first person game, I think. Yeah. And so you can do that in Dragon Quest Builders, and yeah, it makes quite a difference in terms of just how easy it is to make stuff. So I've built some high walls. I've built roofs. So in Dragon Quest, Builders, that is, when you create rooms, you have to meet certain specifications for the game to recognize it as a room, like a bedroom, that is, right? Or any other kind of type of construction. There's certain specifications, like the walls have to be two squares high, and you need one light source, and you need a bed, right? And then the game there'll be like this like effect, like doo-doo, and it'll recognize it as a bed. And the reason why you want the game to do that is that the NPCs that live in your town will now use it as such, right? They'll go to that place, the room that you made, and sleep in it. Otherwise, they'll just sleep on the floor outside, and that affects their happiness. Blah, blah, blah. So, you don't need roofs. You don't need a roof for the game to recognize it. That's the interesting thing, and it makes it easier. It makes it easier to just see into the rooms, of course, because there's no ceilings, right? But it looks a little awkward, like just from an aesthetic standpoint. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing is just creating roofs. Sounds really exciting, I know. Big time exciting stuff. Making roofs in Dragon Quest. But yeah. And eventually I'll be able to make a castle and stuff. That'll be fun. I never really got burnt out playing that first game just because I don't know, the act of making stuff, and they always have you making different things, so it never gets repetitive. It's like okay, first you make a room, but the next time you're making like, you know, a big castle or a kitchen or something. That's cool. Okay. Just about 8 more guys to go. So how about when I finish doing this wash, I have to actually paint the rims of the bases for these guys. It needs to be black. But once I do that, let's take a look. Let's take a final look at the entire army of these guys. We'll take a look. That's like the most satisfying thing about about painting miniatures, aside from playing with them in a game of Warhammer or whatever. Is just looking at the army when you're done, and it's like, yes, I did that. I painted this army. Okay. Just trying to paint the underside of this. That's where the most shadow would be. Alright, there you go. Getting there, we're getting there. Will I have enough paint? I haven't had to make new paint. Let's thin this out a little more. Stretch out this paint. It also probably should have been thinned out a whole lot more than I was using, but that's okay. I was also considering getting some Warhammer Underworlds miniatures. That's sort of like the skirmish board game that Games Workshop makes. And I have the first 2 seasons, if you want to call it that, of Warhammer Underworlds. And I have a couple of miniatures from those sets. And they're really fun because, like I said, it's a smaller scale game. It's not like a big whole thing where you're playing against armies. It's like just a small handful of figures each player has, right? And what I like about that is that they've gone and made some very interesting sets of small, like a small set of figures that, you know, they look cool together, and then you can just paint that and have a cool little force that's done. You don't have to buy a whole bunch of other stuff, and it gives you a taste of different miniatures that maybe I would never buy as like a, like if I were to build an army, I would never think about buying like an ogre miniature, for example. Not too crazy about the Warhammer Age of Sigmar ogres, but as a small set of guys, there's this new set that I just saw from Games Workshop. It's like a pirate ogre, and he has like a tiny little goblin dude, a monkey, and a parrot. And I was like, all right, I can see myself getting that. That's pretty fun, right? I like pirates. That could be cool. But, you know, I'm not buying a gigantic ogre force. That's the main thing. So I was thinking about getting something like that to paint. That or a giant monster. That's kind of what I want to do as well. Bacon, I think some people have more fun painting them than actually playing. At least that was the case for me. Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot of people that enjoy that way more than the game itself. And Games Workshop itself started life as primarily like a miniature manufacturer, and then they had to make games to go along with the miniatures, right? So it's always been that way. And in fact, when they're making new models, or rather when they're making new troop types for their games, often it starts with the model. Some designer will be like, "I made this," and then a game designer was like, "Okay, I guess we'll make rules for that now." That's the order. I'm sure it goes the other way too, but I hear that the model often comes first, and then the rules for it later. And Night Trap, Underworlds is fun. We should stream a game. Yeah, I actually, I think that might be fun. Might take some time to figure out how to get that set up, but I wouldn't mind doing that. Test that out. We also probably need to play a couple of games off stream just to refresh ourselves and remember how to play. But it's not too bad. It's probably, it's like a mix of Magic the Gathering and HeroClix, don't you think? Actually, it has like a bit of deck building, like Magic the Gathering, but because of miniatures, that's kind of like that's a bit of a HeroClix kind of vibe to it. I wouldn't mind doing that. Okay, we're getting there, guys. Wow. Night Trap, I just realized today is Destiny Reset Day. Uh-oh. Did you miss out on the stuff from Xur? Or no, this is the shop. The shop, whatever it's called. Night Trap, deck building and grid-based movement. Yeah, it's like Final Fantasy Tactics 2, I guess, a little bit. In fact, we actually have the digital version of Shadespire, or rather, Warhammer Underworlds. We have that. You have a copy, and I have a copy. I tried it for a bit. It seemed pretty good. The rules are one-to-one, exactly the rules of the game. So that's kind of cool. I always like it when computer games like totally just translate a board game into a digital game. I like that. Games Workshop has never, to my knowledge, made like straight up 40K or Warhammer on a digital platform. There's always Warhammer themed games, but they're not actually the exact same rules, right? But when it comes to Shadespire and what is it called? Blood Bowl and probably some other games. I think Space Hulk. Those games are actually straight up the rules of the board game turned into a digital game, and I always find that very interesting because it means you can kind of practice getting good at a board game, because sometimes board games have really elaborate rules, but if you're playing the digital version, some of that mental workload is offloaded to the game itself. So the game does like calculations for you, blah blah blah. So I'm actually at a point now where I feel like I could probably reasonably play a game of Blood Bowl with somebody in real life, just because I've played Blood Bowl digitally, and I know the rules more or less. I'd probably, at this point, it's been a few months to a year since I played it, so I'd probably need a refresher. But yeah, I feel like I could probably play that, which is pretty cool to think about. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't really have any illusions about playing a game of Lord of the Rings, right? With these miniatures, I just want to get an army done for these guys, and then yeah, I'll just have that done. They've been sitting in a box unpainted for damn near 20 years, if not 20 years, so it's about time. And yeah, I hear the game's actually quite fun, so one day maybe I will play the game. It's kind of like playing video games too, right? Like, a lot of people just, and I'm like this too, just buy a bunch of games, right? And just let their backlog grow, and the same thing with books. Just amass a giant backlog. And the whole idea of a backlog is that in the future, you'll have time. In the future, you'll have fun. And it's the same thing with Warhammer. It's like, yeah, maybe sometime in the future I'll play some Lord of the Rings. Maybe in the future. Always in the future. Doesn't hurt to have like a brother that's into the same hobby too, though. All right. Night Trap, you missed Zur, but I don't think he was selling anything good. Okay. Man, we've got just got too many things going on. Like, I wouldn't mind firing up Destiny and seeing what I can get at Zur or whatever, or do the what is it, the 30th anniversary of Bungie thing. But yeah, we've just got just juggling too many things. Nice. So yeah, that's all of it done. All these guys done. I'm just kind of going over real quick. Just taking a quick look if I need to touch up any areas, but it seems pretty good, pretty good. They look suitably dingy. Nice. So here's something. This one guy needs a shield, so we gotta quickly do that. There's the Goblin Shield just in basic plastic, so we gotta quickly paint this guy. So let's just fire this up. Just gonna coat it with black, and then do a gray coat over top, and then that'll be done. I also need black paint to paint the rims of these bases. Okay, this this paint's too watery. I didn't shake it. See, this is what happens when you don't shake. Okay, I gotta shake. Shake, 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 shake. Pardon me for a moment while I shake. just about the hour mark, so that's pretty sweet. 1 hour. Goblins done. I'll paint the bases, and then we can take a look at all the goblins. I think what I'll do is I'll paint... Whoa, sorry, shaky camera. I think what I'll do is I'll paint the rims of the bases another time. Because, well, okay, let's see if I can just quickly do this. Let's see. So, it's hard to tell, but the bases for these models, the plastic is black, but I'm actually painting black because there's little spots where I was painting, and I got some paint on the rims. So this is just to kind of tidy things up and make it look sharp and nice. Back in the day, Games Workshop was very adamant about having players paint their bases goblin green. So if you have, if you know anybody, or if you have models from the 90s to the 80s, they likely had goblin green bases. Everyone had the same color bases. But these days, yeah, as it should be, you can just do whatever you want. But I'm choosing black just because it kind of puts the focus on the miniature itself, right? If I suddenly paint the bases like tan or brown or orange or pink, like suddenly that's calling attention to the base, and that's not what you want to do. The base is just, it's an element that's not part of the game world in some ways. It shouldn't really be noticeable. It shouldn't be the focus. Okay, almost done. Right. Getting somewhere. Gotta find my my silver paint. Gotta get out some silver paint so I can do that one shield that's remaining. Somehow I managed to paint all the shields except for one. Very annoying. And now I have to go and do that. But yeah, I was saying earlier, the best on my Instagram, my hobby Instagram, just about the most popular stuff that I that I post there is like Old Hammer. Like my old Goblin army, stuff like that. That's probably currently the most popular stuff that I post. But before that, I'd say the most traffic I get was from like Lord of the Rings based miniatures, especially my trolls. I'm very happy with how I did my trolls, and a lot of people seem to like it too, which is cool. Spent a lot of time doing the skin on the trolls, referencing. I looked up reference for how the trolls looked in Lord of the Rings, the first movie, and their skin. And I was looking at pictures of like how other people had approached the skin, as well as like pictures of elephants and stuff, because I'm pretty sure that they had mentioned that the design of the trolls is partly inspired by elephants, at least in terms of like how the skin looks and the folds. So I was pretty happy with how those turned out, and yeah, people seem to like them, which is cool. And I'm definitely going to paint more Lord of the Rings miniatures. I'm just not sure what I should do. I'm thinking about getting Treebeard. Treebeard looks really cool. Or I have more humans somewhere. Yeah, like this guy. Oh, I just noticed I'm got low battery there, but yeah, there's a. This is like a Rohan Archer. I think that's what they're called. I got that guy. But yeah, give me a second. I gotta charge my stuff. All right, all right, all right. Let's finish painting the shield. I gotta get some metallic paint and we'll just slap on a quick coat of that. Where's my metallic paint? I think this is it. Lead Belcher. Gotta give it a shake as always. Gotta shake your paint, especially if it's been sitting around doing nothing for many, many years. Just shake it up, shake it up. Let's... Like, the skin of these goblins, it's kind of inconsistent. Like, I painted them over the course of, like, several weeks, I guess, like, doing the skin part. And so I would mix it up differently, slightly differently every time. But I don't actually mind doing that. I know that there's a lot of people that want to maintain the proper proportions and keep the consistency of the skin color between your models all consistent. But again, I always go back to the fact that these are goblins. And, you know, watch the movie. They don't all look the same. They can vary quite wildly between each other. Okay. Okay, time to do this shield. The paint hasn't fully dried, but that's okay. Just gonna slap this on. It's kind of messy. Again, I'm using the goblin excuse. Sometimes I think about if I were to start a new 40k army, what I would do. What army would I do? And I really have no idea. It's hard for me to decide because I really like orc models. They're really fun. But at the same time, sorry, I'm just trying to grab something here. Here's another pro tip, actually. When you're painting with metallic paint, you should have a separate cup to clean your brush in. I just poured some water, and I'm cleaning my brush right now in this small little plastic bottle cutoff to clean the brush. And it's hard to tell, I'm sure, but I can see that there's tiny little metallic flakes, right? Or whatever, plastic reflective particles. And you don't want to clean your brush in the same water that you're going to use to like thin your paint with the rest of your paint, with the metallic paint. Because what's going to happen is these little particles will inevitably will dilute and taint your other colors. And suddenly you're painting like flesh, like a, you know, like a pinky flesh character. And there's tiny little metallic flakes in their skin. That's no good. You don't want that. And so the reason why I mention that is because I quickly dipped my brush into my water that I used to clean my brush, and then I suddenly remembered what I was doing, and then poured a separate little dish to clean. But I don't think there's too many particles, if any, so it should be fine. Let's let this dry, and let's see if we can line up our armies. If I wasn't afraid of getting DMCA'd, I would play the Lord of the Rings like army music. But let's line these babies up, because we're done. They're pretty much done. And let's do it by troop type. So these are the archers. I don't know how many total archers that I have. We'll just keep putting them out until I'm done. And this actually comes from two separate box sets, actually. The original Lord of the Rings box set came with a number of these goblins. And then I got, much later, a different box set. And that came with more goblins. Damn, these are all the archers? That's a lot. Is there any more? I feel like... Oh yeah, there's one more here. So that's 16. 16 archers, and how many sword and shield guys? Let's see. Oh, this guy needs the shield. Let's put them. Let's put him aside. We gotta give him his equipment. Whew. So yeah. So it's like blocks of 16. 16 of each kind of type. And then these are the spearmen. I don't know if they're all going to get in the shot, so maybe I'll just line them up like this. Right here. And so there's actually more I'd like to do for the bases. I'd like to get some static grass tufts to put on, but at the same time, I'd like to find something that looks more like dry, dead grass rather than bright green grass. I'm sure I can find something like that. Because after all, I just don't think it would make much sense if it was bright and colorful. All P3 music so far. Any P4? Let's see. I'm pretty sure Oh, maybe not. I'm actually just seeing what I have on my computer here, and I'm pretty sure I have some. Come on, let me see. I'm taking a quick look now. Oh, I even have some P5. There you go. All right. Okay, let's attach this shield. Is this paint wet? No, it's not that. It's not really wet. I think I can just push fit this in for now. Glue it later. Ta-da! Oh wow, I just noticed that they didn't even get all in the shot. There you go. There's all my goblins. I'll try and take some better pictures a little later and throw them up on Instagram, but yep. There we go. Very, very happy to get all these guys done. Let's try and get some close-ups. Can I do it like this? Seems like using a hand is better. But I'll try and, yeah, like I said, I'll get some better pictures on Instagram. Okay, so how about we take a break now while I get set up